Take advantage of the day. When you get an opportunity in this game, you make a play. The playmakers on three. 1, 2, 3.
Touchdown, Kansas City! The Chiefs are right in the thick of it, baby!
Hello, Chiefs Kingdom, and welcome to this edition of Defending the Kingdom. Mitch Holthus with you, voice of the Chiefs, along with 10-year National Football League veteran player and a prominent part of our 65 TPT crew and Chiefs ambassador, Shawn Barber. First of all, Shawn, hope you're okay. We got our Bose 700 headphones back on, but hopefully you're great and back into the game. See you back with your uniform on. It's good, my brother.
Man, I feel back into the flow, back into the mix, man. Post-COVID, as people might not know, I tested tested positive for COVID about 2 weeks ago, which kept me away from the broadcast, kept me away from defending the kingdom. But man, I'm back into the flow. I'm getting my energy, getting my mojo back, getting all the swag back. And I think it's just about time as we go for a third time AFC championship game here at Arrowhead Stadium to bring that swagger back. So I'm looking forward to defending the kingdom tonight.
Again, our Bose 700 headphones are on, Bose Shop and myself. Just go to Bose.com. You'll see a headphones drop down. You'll find them. Just click on down there and you'll find them. They are fantastic. Great. We've mentioned the romantic nature of them and perfect for Valentine's Day and your gift and your run it back attempts here in the kingdom. All right. We're calling this episode of Defending the Kingdom the Trophy Dash. Now, this goes, Clint Boyer is a huge Chiefs fan. He just recently retired NASCAR shop, and he used to race dirt track. As a little kid, my dad would take me to races in the Kansas-Nebraska border. They'd race on these 3/4-mile tracks, and I mean, they'd spend thousands of dollars just beating each other up, right? It was like the NFL version. They would go I'm just all night and just race and then fight in the pits and all that. But it would get down near the end of the night, and they would have the heat winners would run what they called the Trophy Dash. There was the 4 fastest cars left, just like the National Football League's down to 4 teams, and they would line it up and run for the trophy. I thought, do they get a whole bunch of money for this? Well, no, just a little bitty trophy, but it was a big deal to these guys. Now, this trophy is the Lamar Hunt Trophy, and you mentioned 3 straight AFC championship games, all at Arrowhead after 58 years of never hosting one. But the Kansas City Chiefs get a chance again to play for the Lamar Hunt Trophy. What does that mean, and how personal does it get for our guys and our franchise to play for a trophy named after our founder?
Man, as a player, you take about a season of work, a season of commitment, a season of sacrifice. All the weightlifting, the practicing, being away from your family and friends, doing whatever you had to do as far as COVID protocol to make sure you're available to play each and every week. In order to have the opportunity to host playoff games, in order to have the opportunity to now be hosting an AFC championship, with the trophy being the Lamar Hunt Trophy, being able to keep that trophy here in the city of his namesake, one Lamar Hunt, is an amazing feat. It's something that Andy Reid, if you listen to him when he first was brought here to Kansas City, he said one of his goals was to get that Lamar Hunt Trophy back here to Kansas City and back to the Hunt family. And he's done it. And not only have we done it, we've been able to defend that crown as AFC champions, but also thinking about our team defending our rights and our ability to go represent the AFC when it comes to the Super Bowl. And I think that is one of we talk about checking the boxes off, winning the AFC West, beating the Cleveland Browns, and now having opportunity to go play and beat the Buffalo Bills and give yourself a tomorrow. Give yourself a chance to create a tomorrow, which will be February, I think it's February the 7th this year, February 7th, 2021 in Tampa Bay, the opportunity to fight for a back-to-back championship, which we know is so hard to achieve.
Been 16 years since anybody's done it. The Patriots did it in the 03-04 seasons. Okay, I'm breaking out. I broke out the coat. I hung it up after last year. It's sat there for 52 weeks because this is a coat. You got this same coat, brother. I hung it up. That's what I wore to broadcast that AFC championship last year when I said the team that Lamar Hunt founded has just won Lamar Hunt's trophy in the stadium that was Lamar Hunt's dream. Then I hung it up. I pulled it back out for this week because here come the Buffalo Bills and playing in the AFC championship game. All right, before we dive into the Bills, and it is a worthy look at these guys because it's an outstanding team coming in here Sunday. The question that you're getting and I'm getting every minute of every day is about Mahomes and the Mahomes protocol. And as people listen to this, on this Defending the Kingdom podcast, we'll know later in the week more, right, after they've heard this. And so the point is, though, the concussion protocol, I think, is very important to at least look at because you played the game for 10 years. You love the game. Your family, your son played the game. My son played the game. I wasn't very good, but I played it in high school, and if I could play it again, I would because I love the game. Shop, you can tell I love the game, but it's worth protecting. And several years ago, the NFL put in place these concussion protocols. There are no shortcuts. People wanted to know on Monday at 4 and Tuesday at 5 and Wednesday at 3. They want to know, what is it? What's the answer? Well, there's not an answer. You have to go through these this labyrinth of checkpoints, and it's there for a purpose, and it's proven to be very effective because the concussions have gone down big time in the NFL, and the reoccurrence of concussions have done the same. So in this concussion protocol, as someone who played, as someone who has coached some, and someone who's had their own life and blood play the game, what about these protocols, how important they are, and the fact that there are no shortcuts here? You're not going to know right away.
Well, one of the amazing things I think after playing the game is anyone who's had their bell rung, anybody who's stood up a little lightheaded, you understand your equilibrium isn't right, your decision making isn't right, and the last thing you do is want somebody to go back on the field not thinking clearly, not having the reaction time that they usually have, and not being able to avoid a serious injury or a big hit just because mentally you're just not, you just don't have it all together yet. And so the protocol has definitely been put in place to protect players from themselves. We have become so ultra aggressive, ultra alpha dog mentality, super competitive. There's nothing that will keep a player off the field, not even at his own detriment. And so the fact that, they have independent studies and independent doctors, people outside of your own organization that are able to note when someone is a little wobbly, a little bit off center, pull them from the game and have them go through an actual protocol and an actual series of tests and evaluations to make sure that player is healthy enough to return to action. That is something the NFL, even when I played, all we had was a cup of smelling salt. They put the smelling salt, and once you could clearly look at the doctor and he asked you to follow his finger a little bit, hey, if you could do those things, it's back to the field you go. That has been proven not to be enough time to really be able to evaluate and understand if there's an actual brain trauma or anything from a concussion standpoint. Now, what Pat Mahomes has is it could be put in multiple different categories. But what we do know is that when we saw him get back on his feet, he was having issues maintaining his equilibrium. And whether you want to categorize that as a knockout or a concussion or a loss of blood flow or loss of oxygen, whichever category it is, we know that's not the state of mind you want somebody taking a snap when the other team is coming to try to sack him. And so for his benefit, for the well-being of his future and the future of our entire organization, it was best to make that call, withdraw him from action, and let Henny go out there and close that game out, which he did in an amazing fashion, right? So with a guy who's played the game before, and I understand the necessity of protecting the brain, protecting somebody's livelihood, to protecting people from themselves, man, we are ultra competitive, and there's nothing I wouldn't do to get back on that field. And I can appreciate that the NFL has put a protocol and a set of rules and regulations to prevent somebody going out there and getting themselves hurt.
And again, the protocol is extensive. It goes through stages, and including just kind of easing into things, aerobic exercise, and then some non-football activity, and then some football activity without contact, meaning like 7-on-7 and throwing and running, things you would do in a game. And this time of year, you're not in contact anyway, other than the game. But still, then neurologists get involved. This isn't like some trainer coming up to you and giving you smelling salts when you're entering the league with the Redskins or the Washington football team. This is a neurologist taking over. And there are people and specialists that are involved in watching it because, what we've learned and what we've read, I don't care if you're playing soccer and you've got a concussion via a header, the most damaging things are when you have a concussion in close proximity. That's when it can become very, very damaging and life-threatening in some instances. So that's why these protocols are in place. There's no hurry. Everybody wants an answer. Just slow down and just let the process work. And so it's doing what it's supposed to do, and it's been very impactful in the National Football League. All right, now that we got that taken care of, let's jump into the Buffalo Bills. And in looking at the Buffalo Bills, I'm very impressed with these guys. They've not only passed the eye test, they also got those stats. But what I see a lot are the Kansas City Chiefs. There's a lot of similarities between these teams when you look at what they do and how they approach things. I'll give you one. There is no team that throws it more on first down than the Buffalo Bills. These guys are throwing it and throwing it even more so in the last 8 games of the season, these first 2 playoff games. In their first 17 or 18 plays, they only had 1 design run, and that was, against the Ravens in the last week's game. So here they come. They're going to throw it, and they've got some talented players, and Josh Allen is turning into a stud.
Well, the Buffalo Bills understands the same thing that the Kansas City Chiefs do, and that is the most efficient way to get the ball from end zone to end zone is passing the ball. You can hear what you want about the running game. You can say late in the season, defensive football and running the ball is the way to win championships. That is no longer the case. It hasn't been the case for a number of years now. The way the rules are set, the way the rules have just grown to be more of a quarterback-driven league, if you got a guy that can sling it, and you can run an offense to get the ball into the playmaker's hands as early and often as possible. When you have a tremendous high receiver group, a capable tight end, you have receivers at the running back position that can actually catch the ball out the backfield, and you have somebody at the quarterback position who can throw it all over the field. He can hit every the 8 different zones of the field and has the mobility to be able to create some difficult situations for your defense. We've been on the other side of that. We face it every day in practice. We've seen Pat Mahomes do some amazing no-look passes, 8 yards in the air time, being able to zip it from one hash to the other sideline. When you have that type of mobility at the quarterback position, it's almost foolish not to use it as an offensive coordinator. And that's the one thing Debo is doing. He's doing the same thing that Bieniemy is doing. They're looking at their assets and they're realizing their greatest asset is the quarterback position. And they're going to put the ball in his hands, expect him to win it, expect him to get first downs, touchdowns as many times as possible throughout a ball game.
Yeah, and Sean McDermott learned from Coach Reed. He was coach's adjutant. He came from like Goldman Sachs and thought, I want to coach. Can I be involved in football? Yeah, start right here. You're going to start the lowest end. McDermott's done a great job of changing culture there in Buffalo, but they're 4th in 20-plus passes. And the year that Stephon Diggs has had is very similar to Tyreek Hill. Here's why, Shab. Because Diggs was thought to be a 9 runner, right? I'm going to run 9s and posts. That's what I'm going to do. Remember the Minneapolis Miracle and the incredible play that was. All of a sudden, Stephon Diggs this year is running every route and running with great short-range quickness. The same thing that Tyreek Hill has done. He went from just being a cheetah that can run 9 routes to now becoming running every route on that spots and that tree you want to talk about, including the route he ran the other day on 4th and 1, which was just, that's it. And he was wide open, and the Chiefs win the game and move on or playing in this game. Okay, so you've got that going for you. So let's take Diggs in and of himself. The fact that he's not just a 9-route runner, this guy's running every route and his short-range quickness. The Chiefs did an awesome job on him in October. They did an awesome job on him last year. He played for the Minnesota Vikings here. He only had 1 catch for 4 yards. That's when he was kind of fighting the Cousins thing a little bit, right? Yeah. But now he goes from the trade to these guys and blossoms. NFL's best receiver, yards, catches. But I'm impressed with his short-range quickness that makes it difficult to cover.
Yeah, he's a guy that can definitely, he just wants the ball in his hand. He demands it. He's running some precise routes. And what we know about the offense, because we see it all the time, is when you're running accurate routes and the quarterback is placing the ball with accuracy and timing, those 2 factors create yards after catch. And you talk about once he has the ball in his hands, he gets upfield, he makes guys miss. He's doing a phenomenal job of being one of the number one receivers in the league. And you talk about the mirror image of these two teams. One team has Stephon Diggs. They got Knox. They got John Brown, and they got Beasley. And then in the backfield, they got Singletary. Well, that looks a lot like the Tyreek Hill, McCole Hardman, Sammy Watkins, Travis Kelce, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire coming from the Chiefs team. And they have their Allen, and we have our Mahomes. The only difference, you think, when you look at these two ball teams, and you're talking about the offenses going tit for tat, I think it comes down to the playmaking mentality and ability of the defenses. And this is going to be a defensive ball game. This is going to be one loss by the playmaking ability of one of the defenses. And I believe that our Chiefs defense is full of playmakers at all three levels. And I don't think the Buffalo Bills defense can really hold the same level of aggression, of attitude. I think that bend don't break style of playing is going to come back to bite them in the butt versus our Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, let's transition to that side of the ball because that's what's getting kind of just drifted off here. But before we do that, I mean, the Bills are now best in third down conversions, or we're at the end of the regular season, and not so great in the playoffs, but they're making critical plays there. Great accuracy by Allen. I mean, 74% against the Colts in a playoff game, hitting 3 out of every 4 passes. They also are good in special teams. They're best in kickoff returns because Roberts will try to hit it. But these guys are legit on the offensive side. Now, the defensive side, and when people study offensive football and what football has become, and we know what it's become really at all levels, at high school and also in college and for sure now in the NFL. I mean, every team left in the Final Four in this trophy dash, I'm calling it, on this Defending the Kingdom, these 4 cars left on the track that fought their way through the whole long night of all these heat races are on the track racing for the trophy in the AFC and the NFC. And all 4 are in the top 6 in points per game, all about 30 points a game. It's the defenses that get enough plays. This is what I think you're alluding to, because I study the rest of the league and I go, well, what defenses are winning here? They're the ones that steal enough plays. The Buffalo Bills and Chiefs are similar in that regard. The Bills have 4 non-offensive touchdowns. Hey, they're in this game, in my opinion, because of a 101-yard kickoff return by Johnson. Otherwise, the Ravens are going in without the wind. Right at the end of the third quarter, if they tie it at 10-10, the Ravens get the wind in that game, and the wind was a big factor. This could have been very different. It was their defense that got the play that you're alluding to, that we've seen the Chiefs' defense get time and time again and week after week and got them all over the playoffs last year.
And one thing we do know about their defense, led by Leslie Frazier and led by Sean McDermott, it's a familiar foe. It's a defense that I think Andy Reid and Coach Bieniemy are going to be so comfortable defending because they've gone against the core of that defensive philosophy. For so many years back when Jim Johnson was training Coach Spags and Coach McDermott and telling them about football philosophy, how important it was to be the aggressor, to try to control it from a defensive mindset, to only allow an offense to do what you want them to do by putting pressure on the receivers, by rerouting routes, by stacking a box, putting 9 in the box to make them have to pass the ball, being able to rotate and flood zones defensively, bringing overload blitzes. So all of these different factors that we've seen from Coach McDermott and Coach Leslie Frazier, the true creator and the true fundamental foundational creator of this defense has been Jim Johnson. And so seeing that defense and being a part of that organization when I was with the Eagles, with Andy Reid, I know so many familiar aspects of it that I think that offensively, when you know what you're going to see and you know some of the fundamentals, the philosophies of that defense, it's going to be a little bit like what we call it, just plucking a little pitch and shoot, a little 7-on-7, a little just taking what the defense is going to give you, go on and move down the field. And that defense, when it gets inside the 15 or 20-yard line, that's when they bow their back. That's when their back's against the wall and they put playmakers in position not to only knock a ball down, but to turn it over. to get a big sack, to do something that's going to turn that momentum. They want to keep you just snapping the ball between the 20s, snap the ball, you execute your play, you have to catch it, you have to complete the first down. But once they get to that goal zone, that green zone, that red zone, whatever you call it, the defense has been known to bend their backs, and they get real stingy, and they get real opportunistic. And that's when they look to make big plays. They don't take risks between the 20s, but definitely when you get to the inside that goal zone, that's when you're going to see the defense try to make a big play on both sides of the ball. And I think when we look at it, if we really be honest with ourselves and go just level by level, we have more playmakers on our defense side of the ball than the Buffalo Bills.
I would concur. And let me put this out there for those listening and watching. Chris Jones has had a way better year than people think. I'm super proud of the dude because he hasn't piled up sacks, so it's not sack nation. He's 5th in the NFL in quarterback hurries and pressures. Go back, folks, if you're listening and watching, and go back and watch the Cleveland game. After the Browns picked up a first down at the 31-yard line, they need a touchdown to win it. Mm-hmm. On first down, they get a play that's out the gate. The Honey Badger gets decleated by that 77 dude, Treader, whatever, and all of a sudden, or a Teller. But Chris Jones was able to get penetration and basically get a hand on the belt of Chubb that slowed him down enough that Hitchens shows up and they swallow him for a yard. It's the cool thing wiped up because Tyrann Mathieu gets decleated, right? He's sending it and he jumps up and goes, it's -1. It's a -1. So that's a play that it's not a pick, it's not a scoop and score, but an enormous play because that thing was ready to go out the gate for about 15 yards. Then Chris Jones's pressure on third down causes a little bit of an errant throw by Mayfield that's juggled by Kareem Hunt and allows Charvarius Ward, who's dropping into coverage, to make the reaction and tackle him. That's what this Chiefs team has done. I went back and looked at Buffalo. They're averaging about 9 or 10 possessions a game. If you take the two playoff games and then the game we played against them in October, it's right around 9 or 10 possessions. Shop. If you can steal one of those possessions, either with a takeaway or a 3-and-out, it becomes magnified in this trophy dash we're talking about.
Yeah, time management, controlling possessions, understanding how important a turnover and stealing a possession can be in this ball game because you're dealing with two ball handlers that are so high-powered. They don't need much time to score. You give either one of these quarterbacks 90 seconds in a timeout, you are thinking score a touchdown. It's not just a field goal. Both of these offenses can go vertically so quickly, and they put so much pressure on the defense to cover all 53 in the third yards across the field, and then all 120 yards vertically. So you got to go from end zone to end zone, sideline to sideline. Everybody has to be communication. It's going to be at an all-time priority. You got to be on a high level of communication and a high level of trust. And I truly think that when it comes down to it, it's going to be the plays made on the defensive side of the ball, because I think both offenses are going to cancel each other out as far as big plays, scoring opportunities, field goals, special teams. All of those things are going to cancel themselves out. It's going to be a big play, whether it's a sack by Chris Jones, Frank Clark, sack by L'Jarius Sneed, or interception by Honey Badger or Juan Thornhill or Sorensen. It's just over and over again, we've seen our defense arise to the occasion, whereas the Buffalo Bills defense they wait for a giveaway. They don't take it away. They wait for you to make a mistake and give them the ball. And I think our offense is going to be on their P's and Q's. They're going to cross their T's and dot their I's. And we're going to be seeing one of the best football games we've seen in this 2020-21 season.
I'm with you. And I see plays like Frank Clark playing the screen game. He was great there on that to get Cleveland off the field after one first down to set up the Henny heroics. But this defense will rise. The other one, and I haven't heard this stat a lot, but dug into it some. And I love Josh Allen. I think he's a stud. Mm-hmm. And if you study him, he has been much like you in the fact that wasn't highly recruited. Fresno's 45 miles from him. He grew up in like a farming community, and nobody wanted to recruit him. Like his coach was just sending out stuff to like thousands of schools, and nobody wanted him. And then finally, Wyoming said, and he went to JUCO for a year, and Wyoming said, yeah, well, I guess we won't offer him, but we'll take him. And he turns into this kid. But I have great regard for him. He's been accurate and a stud, but 11 fumbles. Mm-hmm. He's lost 6. Only Derek Carr lost more fumbles this year than Josh Allen. Didn't lose any against the Chiefs in October. Against the Colts, he fumbled, but he recovered it. Against the Ravens, he fumbled, but he recovered it. Love this kid. Think he's really good. I think it is but you steal a possession. You take one of those 10 possessions, if you can hack it out somewhere, because Josh Allen has fumbled 11 times and lost 6 of those rascals, and that becomes enough of a thread here to flip a game like this, and you hand the Lamar Hunt trophy to the team that Lamar Hunt founded.
Man, you called it a trophy dash for a reason. It's not about the marathon anymore. The regular season's over. We've all ran the marathon. We've all rested up. Now it's going to come down to a 60-minute dash, 4 quarters. It's nothing to hold back for. It's no tomorrow. You got to create your tomorrow, and that's going to be a full-on sprint, a 4-quarter sprint of high intensity football. Man, I cannot wait to see this AFC Championship game on Sunday, man. It's going to be plays made. It's going to be memory. History will be made on Sunday at Arrowhead Stadium.
Those races from 7 to 9, that was the marathon. Those were dirt's flying. They're cussing at each other. There would be the bad guy car with the skull and crossbones, and everybody would boo it. And then there'd be the good guy. And then they got to the trophy dash.
That's right.
And it was on, baby. And that's what we've got, Shop. It is now the trophy dash for the 3rd consecutive year. The Kansas City Chiefs, setting an AFC record, will host this game. So here we go. One final comment before we jump right in and let her fly, baby, because I'm with you. I think this will be a classic.
Yeah, man. Well, I know one thing. The guy who I know will be ready is the Honey Badger. I've seen him he played the best game since he's been here in Kansas City last week against the Browns, flying across the field, calling out plays, calling out offensive sets before they'd even ran it. He was a motivator, an instigator. He was a leader in as far as mindset, mentality, being physical, making the big play coming out of halftime to begin the 3rd quarter the right way. So I'm looking forward to that young man leading this, not only the defense, but this team out of that tunnel and doing what needs to be done to get a win on Sunday.
I thought the 2-week rest was huge for him. He came out looking like he was a freshman at LSU. He was running around, even though he got decleated on that one play. I loved his energy because that's the Honey Badger we know and love. So maybe coming around turn 3, hey, the checkered flag's out on this trophy dash. Is that the 32 car? Is that the 15 car? Is that the 87 car? Is that the 59 car? Maybe that's the old shop car that's coming around out of the shop, taking the checkered flag around the track at Richmond Motor Speedway. Anyway, here we go. It is time for the trophy dash, and Lamar Hunt's trophy will go to the winner. He's Shawn Barber. I'm Mitch Holthus. Get ready, Kingdom. It's time to go win a championship. Thanks for joining us on this edition of Defending the Kingdom.